Okay, I got to before we get going, I got a really, really weird question for you guys. It's been weighing on my mind. I've been thinking about this a lot the last couple days. Um, and since I have you two here, I'm just gonna see if I'm alone in this. Hypothetical question. If you found out one of your friends made a sex tape and it was like out there online, would you watch it?
Take a walk around the world and keep your hands to yourself. To the point, 'cause you know I won't be listening long.
Which friend?
Well,
No, that's
we're
what I
gonna
was gonna say.
we're gonna get into that. I have a list. We're gonna go
For
into
a
that.
minute
But
there, I thought you were
the
about
initial,
to say, I have in my possession a
Yeah,
sex
I
tape
have the tape.
of our group chat. And then I was going to start placing bets. And then, okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this week's list, top 7 friends that we would want to watch in a sex tape.
well, it really got me thinking. I'm like, I have friends that the answer right away is fuck no. No, no, I wouldn't even dare. Absolutely not. Then there are other friends where I'm like, maybe. And I
Because
broke
of
it
the
down.
friend or because of their
Now,
significant other?
Or because you
ooh,
want to
I
learn
didn't
their
even think of
techniques and
that.
harness
Well,
their
that's
power.
that is might be part of it. Depends on the person. You
All
guys
the
said the right
greats
answer.
watch tape, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, why would you treat it any other way?
You both said the right answer by saying which friend, because that's now. I'm not going to talk about all the other friends in my life because the people on this podcast don't know them, but a lot of them are WrestleMedia listeners. So this is where I'm going to go with this. First of all, I would never watch if I found out Tyler made a sex tape. The answer is no. I know what that sick fuck is into. That man can't come until unless a woman is crying, and I know this for a fact. So I'm not going down that road with Tyler.
The
Ooh,
fact
boy.
that you know this for a
Yeah.
fact
Right?
makes me think that there is a sex tape of Tyler out there and that you have seen it. And really, this is more, I wouldn't watch it again.
I get, or I don't need to watch it because I was
Speaking of
there.
which, Matt's got some hot pussy on his camera right now. This is a pornographic
get out of
episode.
here. Get out of here.
Is Noodles your nickname for
So-
your ding dong, Matthew?
I thought you'd never ask.
I was hoping you'd never ask.
And I knew he would. So I broke this down for the WrestleMedia guys. Now I'm going to start out by saying I know for a fact that Andrew Kent has a strong moral opposition to pornography, so it's in bad taste to put him in part of this whole joke.
Whoa, hold on a
Andrew
second.
Kent, Andrew Kent is out of this.
Whoa. We have to stop. I have to stop you right there.
Am I wrong?
Well, you're not wrong about that, but
Okay,
I would like to know if this is all classified as pornography. Look, for me, this could just be as well as an anatomy book, right? Again, we're learning if you're using it for the purposes of scientific study, right? That's not pornography.
All right. Well, I was just trying to be respectful and not distasteful to the needs of Andrew Kent. But if you're putting it that way, I would totally watch Kent fuck.
There you go, right?
Yeah, for sure. If
If I may,
educational purposes.
If I may, one might even call him the instructional Andrew Kent.
Oh my God, that's
man,
fantastic.
that's so good.
There's a callback that only 3 people will get.
Yeah, and they're all right here.
2 of them will love it, and 1 of them is infuriated, and his name is Andrew Kent.
I'm also keeping Jenny out of this completely because I just feel weird talking about Jenny in that light.
I'm glad that you brought the second part out because I was going to say, dude, that's
rude,
man.
No. I just because she's a girl and she's not a girl I know particularly well, so I find it to be disrespectful. So Jen's out of it. Now the rest of you fuckers, I would not watch a Danny Parkhill fucking sex tape because if I wanted to see Rocky Dennis fuck, I would put that into my search engine alone.
Wait
All
a
right.
minute, wait a minute. The guy that we rip on more than anybody else, and you're saying you would just leave that comedic
Yes.
gold mine untouched.
I don't think I would ever
As
get
well
another
as
hard
your
on again if I had to
genitals.
see that. I would never get
It's-
another hard on again if I had to see that man naked.
You would leave that
I was
gold
gonna
mine
say,
and
you
your
just-
genitals
he might
untouched.
be, he might be scarred for life, right?
You're both-
That's
you're
what's
both
at
out on
stake
that
here.
one.
That is what's at stake here.
You're both
Je-
nuts, and I'm interested in Danny's. I'm watching.
Jeff doesn't count. There's no point even talking about Jeff's sex tape. We know he's not making one. Not because he doesn't want to. He just doesn't have the fucking time, boys. You know that.
I would
Unless
want
it
to
was
watch
in his car.
Oh, the go home G spot.
Yep.
Oh, that's amazing.
that has the best answer.
Yeah. Oh,
That wins.
fantastic. All right, I'm watching that. If it's in his car, yes. Even better if it's in the Pure Lighter truck.
That's what I was going
Um,
for, but I couldn't remember which one he worked for, if it was Pure Lighter or FedEx, so I just went with his car.
Well, he doesn't work for either now, since they're going to hear this podcast and they're going to be like, we don't want that guy working for us anymore. Not with friends like that.
I'll tell you who I would watch. I'm watching Jesse's sex tape, man. And I'm telling you why. I've known Jesse for over 30 years. That guy's fucking sick. That guy, if watching his pornography tape would be like watching a piece of
Art?
fucking, I don't even want to call it art. It's like the ugliest, weirdest art you've ever seen, but art nonetheless. There's going to be people of every gender. There's going to be people of every size, stature, race, you name it. There's going to be midgets. There's going to be freaks. It's going to be like a freak show. There's going to be music. There's going to be pyro. You name it. It's all in there. That's like, it's going to be the most entertaining thing you've ever seen. I have no, he's a showman. You know that.
I mean, I'm a big fan of his wrestling.
Yet somehow he never, ever leaves his recliner chair.
All I'm going to say is this, like, I'm a fan of the guy's wrestling. And if, you know, he decides to just work a body part for, you know, that's the guy that can do it.
You know, when it comes to my preference for wrestling, you know, I'm all about the Gaga. So if there's going to be some run-ins,
That was a hell of a
good.
run, and you just got on your chin there, bud.
I know,
For the
she
listeners
can't-
who are
she can't
just-
decide where she wants to sit.
For those who
you
are just
figure it out,
listening,
please?
I want to clarify two things. One, we're talking about a cat. Two, we are not talking about a cat in a pornographic manner. We are just talking about the cat's tail brushing up under Matt Sukrum's chin. That's all.
Noodles, figure it out.
To add to the I'm not watching pile. I'm sorry, Matt, but I'm putting Matt Zuckerman on the I'm not watching pile, and I'm telling you why. I already know what Matt Zuckerman's sex tape looks like. It's,
Well, then.
this is the Matt Zuckerman sex tape.
So you managed
The
to get
girl-
those cameras in his room the way you had hoped.
You know, the woman just says, you know, fucking do me harder, daddy. And he just dramatically looks at the camera. The music changes to that do, 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 do. He's like, no, that's not my job. I don't have to make you pleasure because you look like that guy. You know, you see where I'm going with that? No, that joke got so
and
lost.
I am
Don't.
so
And I-
sorry.
and
I don't. I'm sorry.
That joke, and
I feel like I
was
ruined it.
I was ready for the joke to be lost. I didn't care. I was making it anyways. Matt Circum looks like this TikToker that is famous. That is famous for like doing this thing where he's at work and the guy's like, "Hey, if you called in sick, make sure you replace your shift." He's like, "No, that's your job. You're the manager." He's a real piece of shit. And then Matt Circum.
Oh,
looks like
I
a
know
player.
who you're talking about.
Anyways.
now. The
Lost
IKEA
joke.
furniture guy,
He
Yes.
was in Cocaine Bear.
and he was
Yes,
in
he was.
Cocaine Bear. Yeah,
Sure was.
yeah.
I could not watch a Matt Sukrum sex tape, but only because it would be so beautiful. I would imagine that it would have the same effect as looking into the Ark of the Covenant in Indiana Jones and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Like my face would melt and there would be holy spirits floating around.
what happens actually if you watch a Matt Sugrum sex tape is you somehow end up with 2 kids.
Matt Sukram, if you could compare your sex life to one of the Indiana Jones movies, which one would it be?
Well, I haven't seen
And-
Dial of Destiny yet. That comes out on Disney Plus tomorrow.
And
next
why-
day, so
and
I'm
why
pretty
is it-
excited about it.
And why is it?
You're
No.
gonna say Temple of Doom, aren't you?
No, I am not. I'm gonna let you say it.
And why is it Temple of Doom?
I don't know. You said it, not me, man.
See, I'm saying Crystal Skull because I worked with him and I know he came in a fridge once.
Stop it.
I don't want to say Last Crusade because the idea of that never happened again just makes me sad. Like I don't want there to be a Last Crusade for Matthew.
No,
Maybe-
but I want to see but I want to see him in a film with Sean Connery. So now I'll tell you who I would watch. I'm 100% down on watching Drew Ferris in a sex tape, and I'm going to tell you why. I listen. I'm an avid listener to Drew's show, Cheap Seats. Easy for me to
Mhm.
say. That man has talked about pornography a lot on that show. him and Nick talk about their porn preferences quite frequently. And I feel like he knows some shit. Like I feel like he would even like try the shit that he doesn't even really like. Just to see
Just
what
to
it's
say
like.
that he's
Yeah,
tried
just
it.
to see they've done it. Yeah. I think he'd be
Because he
I
needs
think
to
it'd
be
very
he needs to be
interesting.
an expert, right? When he's
Exactly.
when you're talking to Drew Ferris, it's like he knows so much more than you about the subject you're talking about, and there's a
Mhm.
reason for it.
Exactly.
I have a feeling that a Drew Ferris sex tape does exist. As a matter of fact,
Yeah.
I have a feeling there's an entire series or collection out there. However, in order to watch them, you would have to go through a series of scavenger hunt like events and wordplay and visualization exercises.
Yeah.
The way you would watch this porno would be so complex and time consuming that you would just give up all hope after 30 minutes, because that's just the kind of guy Drew is. I think he would make you earn it.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I mean, his
I
Twitter
believe-
handle was Sir F word.
That's right.
And I believe his porn is also called Cheap Seats, just for very different reasons. Last but
No,
not least,
It's called Cheap Seats, CHEEP, because his secret fetish is that he dresses like a bird.
I hate being a visual thinker. Oh God. Last but not least, I'm all in on an Adam Contant sex tape. And I'll tell you why. An Adam Contant sex tape, I'm thinking right now, is 100% filmed like a Kevin Smith movie. It's 90% dialogue, very little action, but someone's getting frosted like a cake by the end of it.
And then there's also a director's commentary done by Adam Contant.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's also in black and white.
Yes.
And I'm also considered not a real director.
and when it's all done, he travels around the country screening the movie to make for $40 a pop.
You make jokes about that, but if I could,
Right?
I mean, there are easy ways to make money for those who want to see it.
And that, my friends, is how we waste time introing a show for a old-fashioned WrestleMedia, a WrestleMedia reunion of sorts. And I'm going to throw it to Adam Contant for the real intro to this show.
Welcome to another WrestleMedia reunion show presented by Count It Out with Mike and Tyler. I'm at Adam Contant, that's at Matthew Sukram, and that's not Danny Parkhill or Tyler. It's Mike Walsh. Gentlemen, we are 14 minutes into this thing already. I have an official timer because, as we all know, I like to go long on these shows. So I've decided to try and police myself best as I can.
Title of your sex tape.
Nice.
Um, Gentlemen, this was a really nice surprise. Mike, thank you so much for inviting us on the show to have another little reunion. We did one a little while ago, and then Matt and I had a secret one that nobody saw except for maybe the 19 people who watched the video that we just randomly uploaded onto the old WrestleMedia YouTube channel.
We got a niche and we had to scratch it.
Yeah, man. It was a fun one. This was going to be fun too.
Well, don't thank me. Thank Danny Parkhill for once again being a horrible friend and not knowing I had a podcast.
Big
She
shout
did
out.
get it. Yep.
Big shout out to DDP.
But no, I'm glad you guys were able to join me today. I've been talking about to Tyler. Tyler's been wanting to take some time off from the show, and I told him, okay, well, whenever you want some time off, I'm going to fill those shows with Wrestlemedia shows. I said we're going to do a wrestling show one week. We're going to do a lasting mark at some point, and I want to do a we have well. I'm not doing a we have till 5 for obvious reasons. Not because of the gimmick infringements, because I'm not a fan of Andrew Kent. But I would love to do a ropes to reels. I'd love to invite Jenny on and do some women love wrestling or women crush wrestling. All these things it'd be great to do some WrestleMedia over the next 5 or 6 weeks. But we're going to start where it all started. We're going to start with the WRASSLUN show. I wanted to get you guys to start this whole thing off, this reunion series off, which only makes sense because you're the two guys who started WrestleMedia.
Yeah, and I'm really honored that you would choose us to do so. Might be a little difficult though, Mike. I mean, because normally Matt and I would just kind of talk about the news and what's going on in the world of wrestling. But I gotta tell you, I don't know. I haven't heard anything big happening in the last little week. Have you? I mean, it's been pretty quiet in the world of wrestling, hasn't it?
Sometimes we would review pay-per-views and give them a grade, but they don't even do pay-per-views anymore, right?
Right. I mean, and even if they did something similar to that, some sort of live event that was of like a premium tier or something
it would have to be a premium tier for sure.
Not only that, but like, when was the last time anything big ever happened at one of those? Like, I mean, it's we're gonna have a tough road, Mike, is all I'm saying.
What did you used to say in the intro to the show? Do they even call them pay-per-views anymore?
I don't know.
I forgot that was a line until just now.
That and bloodthirsty Canadians.
Oh, well, we'll never stop being bloodthirsty Canadians, always. I'm still waiting for Goldberg. I mean, Goldberg's kid is older now. I mean, we saw Sting's kid in AEW recently. I say have Brock Lesnar go on a tour and just like F5 all these children in every city he goes to.
Has he F5 Dominic yet? Or does it not count because Dominic isn't a child anymore?
It 100% counts. That's where he ends the tour, with Dominic, the most famous wrestling kid in the world right now.
Who, by the way, has stolen my backyard wrestling gimmick.
Would you care to elaborate on that for the 7 people who don't know what you're talking about, or the 7 people who do know what you're talking about? The
one time I made a backyard wrestling appearance, I was known as Dirty Tito Sanchez. And now Dominic is Dirty Dominic Mysterio.
Now that you've put that on the internet, you've really pissed off Dutch Mantel.
I guess so.
But the question is, Matt,
because Dutch Mantel invented wrestling. I don't know if you knew that. Yeah.
But Matt, did you ever do any time behind bars, or were the son of Rey Mysterio and or Eddie Guerrero?
Both, actually.
Well, there you go. Okay. Then you have rights to it. That's as far as I'm concerned.
Don't you see this stash and this beard? Does that not qualify me to be Eddie's kid?
It's enough for me.
And the proof is in Eddie Guerrero's sex tape.
That's it. Which you can all watch on my OnlyFans.
Which I will then take on tour.
Yeah, there you go.
And I mean, if we're just going by facial recognition, and speaking of my father, Dirty Dutch Mantel.
Oh shit.
I'm gonna report you to Pappy.
You talked about what do they call them now? PLEs, I guess.
Premium
I think
live
that's
events.
Premium live events. Yeah.
PLEs. Talk about PLEs. I'm gonna rip the band-aid off. I'm gonna give my opinion on Survivor Series very quick because it's a very easy thing for me to say, and then I want to hear from you guys. I'm flat out saying Survivor Series was my favorite pay-per-view or PLE of the year. This every match, every single for as far as in-ring content goes, every match hit home for me. I loved this show.
Wow, man, that's a pretty bold statement. I
Yeah.
watched it
And
live.
and 23 was a great year. Let's be honest about that. Three different companies had amazing shows all year long. So to say that is pretty high praise, to be honest.
Well, are you saying PLEs just purely because that's what WWE calls them?
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
okay, good. Because I was gonna say, are you saying this was your favorite large scale event of the year?
Oh,
Kind of
no. This is my favorite of everything. From
really?
AEW, Impact, you name it. This is I'm now talk to me in a few weeks. This could be because it's so fresh in my head.
Sure.
But it is no doubt one of the best pay-per-views that were put on in 2023.
I mean, I would probably say I didn't love it as much as you did. I
Mhm.
did like it though. I thought there was some really good highlights. The women's War Games match was trashy fun. The Miz Gunther match was way better than I expected it to be.
Love that match.
But at the same time, I was kind of let down by Santos Escobar and Dragon Lee.
Really? I
Yeah,
As soon as I watched it, I texted Tyler right away saying, because I've been kind of off the WWE product lately. Like I haven't been watching weekly. I watched the pay-per-views and that's pretty much it. I texted Tyler right away and said, holy fuck, man, I've been sleeping on this Escobar guy because like I think he's the next star they're building.
I agree
That's the
with
feeling
that.
I get. Yeah.
I do too. But I thought, and seeing to me that match came off to me like a high level squash. And not to say that Dragon Lee didn't get any offense, and maybe that's the wrong terminology, but to me, I saw it as a showcase for Escobar because they didn't give him the big match with Ray. They didn't even give him the match with Ray's new best friend, Carlito. They gave it to a guy at the last minute from NXT who was like, oh, yeah, both of these guys are heroes of mine, and I'm going to fight on their behalf. So to me, although, Dragon Lee got to do, a couple of moves and try to impress people, I just saw it as a cool down match that showcased what Escobar could do, so they could prepare him to then take on Carlito and then get him ready to take on Ray, probably towards the Rumble or maybe
I,
even
I
WrestleMania.
100% agree with you, but I don't see that as a negative thing at all.
I just felt the crowd was a little too cold for me, and they didn't do anything bell to bell that got me amped up enough to get excited about it. So that was the low light of the show for me, was that matchup. That being said, the women's title match I thought was okay, but
Okay.
nothing special. It was a great showcase for Zoe Stark, but again, I think the crowd, they just weren't there for it. So many of them were behind Rhea Ripley, and I don't think the crowd believed enough in Zoe Stark.
I agree.
I don't think they built her up enough to the point where the fans believed she was going to beat Ripley. So outside of them doing a surprise title change, that being said, that men's War Games main event was excellent. It was a great match. Stories told throughout the entirety. You had multiple guys in there who were not just bodies, but they were telling stories. And there's some fun twists and turns. The attempted cash in for the Money in the Bank was a great idea.
Perfectly timed. Yeah.
The story being told with Drew McIntyre and the Judgment Day was a good one. Even the whole return of Randy Orton that, you saw coming a mile away. You knew it was going to be one of those things where his music hit just as, we all thought he was not going to come out. They did really well with it. So it certainly elevated it. The two War Games matches and Miz and Gunther really did help elevate it. And you know what? That's 3 out of 5. So I'll give it to them. It was a very good pay-per-view. I would still put it over. I still would not put it over something like, say, Backlash, which I thought was a better pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Or Money in the Bank even, which I thought was a better pay-per-view. from WWE side of things, from multiple companies.
All right.
I don't know. I'd
Like I
still
said,
say it was in the middle for me. But
like I
hey,
said,
I'm
talk to me
glad
in a
you
week or
liked it.
two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it,
Matt
man.
Matt Suckram, what say you?
I don't really have anything else to add than what Adam has already said. I mean, the matches that he enjoyed were the matches that I enjoyed, and
Yeah,
obviously there was another return that I'm sure we'll be touching on that had everybody
definitely.
talking. But yeah, no, the stuff I liked was the same stuff that Adam liked, and yeah, it's funny,
I
I remember you guys talking about Gunther a couple of weeks ago about his Intercontinental Championship reign, and just what it means and how much it means to the company right now. And I think it's who, who's out there to really take it off him right now and why, right? Like I think Miz was a good foil for him, but yeah, like Gunther's reign has just been awesome to
I
watch.
I have an idea about that.
as do I. I want to hear yours first.
I think if I was going to be given the chance to book that, I would call up Braun Breaker and have him beat Gunther Ford on his first night in the company on the main roster.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
I think
Okay.
there would be no way to make him a bigger star immediately right out the gate than by dethroning Gunther like that. It doesn't have to be, a big back and forth. As a matter of fact, I would do the same thing that they did with the Honky Tonk Man. I would have Braun come in and get a fast victory over Gunther, something that, may even just come as a shock to him. And then you can have them feud for a little bit. But yeah, I would have him lose clean, put the guy over, and then focus on larger titles in the future. So yeah, I would do it for Braun Breaker because I think that's a guy you could have and immediately put him into the spotlight because we know he's a guy that they're high on already. He's a guy they see big things for in the future of the company. He's been talked about as being that next guy to dethrone Roman Reigns, which, I don't agree with. I don't think he's
Breaker or
that.
Gunther?
Breaker. I don't think Braun Breaker is that guy yet, but this would be a great way to pull that litmus test out and see what he could do. So yeah, man, I say give it to a new guy. Have somebody come in and do a shock victory. That's what I would do.
It's so interesting that you say that because where my idea is very far away from that, but not so far away from that at the same time. My idea is almost impossible now because of the recent changes in the landscape of WWE with the return that Matt alluded to. But my original idea that I came up with a couple of weeks ago that I wanted to talk about on this show was that I wanted Gunther to win the Royal Rumble and go on to face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. And for the first time since WrestleMania 6, have the IC champion face the world champion. And I want him
I like
to
that idea.
and I want him to beat Seth Rollins just like the Warrior beat Hogan. And then I want him to go on. Now, in this case, though, his title would have been on the line, so he's got two titles now. He goes on, maybe a week or so, and then somehow, because now for some reason, he's the champion who actually has to defend his title all the time, or maybe that's his character. He insists on defending each championship all the time, and he ends up facing a debuting Braun Breaker the Monday after WrestleMania and loses the IC title.
Wasn't Rollins at one time holding two titles as well? Like for a very short time. He wrestled on a pay-per-view.
Maybe like a tag title and something.
You are
I
thinking
No,
of the time in the summer of 2015 when he was holding both the US championship and the WWE championship
yes,
Oh,
okay.
because he had to defend them
You
in
had
the
to
same
defend
night
them
against
in the
John
same
Cena
night.
and Sting.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
See, I remember some things. So yeah, it would be neat if, they told that story of like,
Your
hey man,
face
I know
told
what it's like to hold two titles in this company kind of thing.
your face kind of told a story there. Do you not like the idea of Gunther winning the Royal Rumble and going on to tell that story, Adam?
I mean, I would say that I don't know. My knee jerk reaction is no. But mostly because I don't think Gunther needs to win the Royal Rumble.
Okay.
I think the easy story there is Gunther says, like, look, I've proven I'm the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, and now I need to take it to the next level. And I think there's nothing wrong with him just straight up challenging Rollins. I certainly don't hate the idea of him winning both those belts and then losing the Intercontinental. Although I don't know. Like I said, there is a part of me that feels like, to have him drop the championship first, then go after the title, to me feels more respectful to the Intercontinental Championship.
I get that.
And here's what I'm going to say. Take a look at the Samoa Joe situation on AEW right now. Samoa Joe came out. He was the reigning defending Ring of Honor television champion, longest reigning champion. And he said, you know what? I'm just going to throw this title to the side. I don't even want it anymore. I got bigger fish to fry. To me, that seems very disrespectful of the championship.
I could not agree more.
And I feel like there's a similar, to me, it's very similar to that idea that you know what, this title does not matter to me, so I'm just going to go ahead and pursue the world title instead. This was great, but I'm kind of done with it, and I feel like that devalues it somewhat.
See,
Now,
the story that I was thinking in my head was more of, I want to have multiple titles because that's the kind of champion I am, and I want to defend these championships. So we could see him defending twice a show, kind of thing. That would be his idea, because that's the kind of man Gunther is.
So let me suggest a tweak to the idea that I think will satisfy both of us in this situation. Do the inverse and have Seth Rollins enter the Royal Rumble and win it and challenge Gunther to say, you've done such a good job elevating this Intercontinental title that I feel it is equal to this now. It's on that level. So I feel like the only way to decide who is the best champion currently on the roster is for us two champions to fight it out at WrestleMania.
So
Winner take all.
You'd make it seem like Rollins would be entering the Rumble to challenge Roman then?
Could be,
and
right?
then decides, no, I'm not going to challenge Roman. I'm going to challenge Gunther.
Yeah, why not? Because then what you're doing is you're elevating the Intercontinental title. You're then saying this belt is so important and so good that I've got to put it up there. They did this in Ring of Honor with ironically enough, the Ring of Honor television title when Jay Briscoe and Jay Lethal were having their feud. Jay Lethal had been running roughshod over Ring of Honor as television champion. And Jay Briscoe said basically, look, that title, you've done a lot with it. And Jay Lethal was making the claim saying, this is the championship in Ring of Honor because I've made it the most important championship in Ring of Honor. And I'm going to prove that by beating the world champion. And he did.
I've got one more quick idea before we move on from this, about who may take this off Gunther at some point. I don't know how popular of an idea this would be, but now that we have pretty strict contenders for both world titles, let's be honest, it's most likely going to be Cody and CM Punk going for the titles at WrestleMania. That's my very uneducated guess. So we have a man named Damian Priest holding that briefcase. Let's say he doesn't go after Gunther with that briefcase, and it could be Damian Priest being the man taking that title off Gunther.
Sure, why
so
not?
He would cash in to get the
to get the title off Gunther.
interesting. Have they ever done it for a title that hasn't been either the world heavyweight or the WWE?
Charlotte went after the NXT title.
Well, that's the Royal Rumble, though. Money in the Bank.
That's right. That's right.
But there is precedence because Austin Theory cashed his on the US champion Bobby Lashley.
They've done that,
or Seth Rollins. I can't remember who was champion at the time. But yes, there's precedent. So yeah, absolutely, they could do that, and I certainly wouldn't object to that. I think that'd be great. So yeah, I'm all for it. Not a problem with any of that.
Because then it also has the shock value that you were talking about earlier, Adam.
100%.
You put Gunther through. Gunther's gone through some hellacious wars, and there's still some people that he could really go through. We could have Gunther and let's say Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
I say
you
do
know,
it at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
While he's in the middle of a match.
I love that.
Have Gunther just like go on a tear, throw a bunch of people out, and then have Damian Priest come into the match with the Money in the Bank, cash it in, and have a
Dude.
match in the middle of the Royal Rumble. Why not?
I absolutely love that. Absolutely love that. And while the ring is filling up with more men, and he's a little bit more distracted, the match is still happening. The Royal
Yeah.
Rumble's going on, but the Intercontinental Championship match is going on as well.
100%.
Oh
Dude,
man,
that's pretty awesome. I would absolutely
okay.
I'm
But what
100%
if
down with that.
Gunther gets thrown out of the Royal Rumble match, but Damian Priest doesn't
Well,
pin him?
Match
I guess
still
the
continues.
match is over. Yeah.
Now
Match
it's a falls count
continues.
anywhere.
No. Gunther's time in the Royal Rumble is over, but that Intercontinental
No,
title match is still happening.
Now Damian's got to get Gunther back in that ring to pin him.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh man, I absolutely love that idea. Man. Oh, now I really want that. I want that more than anything now.
Or
It's fantastic.
he cashes it in the middle of the match, and now the Royal Rumble is for the Intercontinental title. And there's the step too far.
All right, let's hit the elephant in the room. The pay-per-view ends, of course, with the face team going over. Cody's music's playing, everybody's happy, everyone's given up on the idea that CM Punk's going to show up, and of course they hit CM Punk's music at the very, very end. Punk comes out to 80% applause. All right, gentlemen. I'll go last on this one because I'm pretty sure you guys know me enough to know where I stand on this. Let's start with you, Matt. Where are we on? CM Punk is now in WWE.
I think it's a silly deal for a cheap pop in Chicago. And I don't know. Everywhere this guy has gone, he has brought in money and eyeballs, and he gets people talking and all that stuff you want for your wrestling company, which good for him. But as a person, an employee, a teammate, a backstage entity, it just doesn't seem like he's worth the headache. I mean,
apparently there's a behavior.
There's
a behavior clause in his contract,
and I'm sure it'll be exercised within a couple of months. Like, I don't know. And to me, it's just like I wasn't a huge Punk fan when he first started getting really noticed in the WWE, and even when he won that first title, I was like, yeah, okay. And then actually Andrew Kent showed me the CM Punk DVD that WWE released, and I was like, all right, I get it. I get why people like him. But then as time went on, I'm like, man, he puts on some really good matches. Great in-ring psychology. You can't take that away from him. That's what Punk really brings. That's a huge asset that he has. And it's why people want to have him as part of their roster. But again, it was just like, he got a boo-boo face and left. Just packed it up and screw you guys, I'm going home. Like, back in 2014, and then he tried.
But they fired him on his wedding, Matt. They fired him on his wedding.
Look, that's a shitty move. I don't care how big of a headache you are. That's a shitty, petty ass move.
Yeah. Yes, it is. But are we really putting the WWE up as the pedestal here? Like, I mean, so. And then, he goes away for a while, does his UFC thing, gets his ass kicked there. And then, but it's the way he talked about not just WWE as a company, but wrestling as a whole.
That's my problem.
And making wrestling fans feel stupid for forever even cheering him or liking the product. Then he shows back up in AEW, and I think I started to gravitate towards him again because of that first rivalry that he was in with MJF. And I was like, all right, this is awesome. I really liked that story, and the matches they put on were great. and then he goes on a tirade at All Out, and then I'm just like, all right, this guy, like, I don't have any more patience to give for this guy. It's just like, that's what I mean. He's just a headache, and I'm I'm done wanting to cheer him on or even waste any more time on anything he does. Like, it's just, he's just another character that I couldn't care less about. Same thing with Matt Riddle. Same thing, honestly, with Logan Paul. There's just these guys who I don't like as human beings, and I just don't need to pay attention to anymore. So again, I think it's a good move for WWE. Obviously, a lot of people still like him. He obviously moves the needle. They put out a post today where his return was the biggest trending moment in WWE Twitter history or whatever it was. So obviously there's money to be made off of Punk. For me, it doesn't do anything for me. He's not going to be someone that makes me watch a PLE even more.
Adam?
I am gonna play the devil's advocate here and probably be less harsh on him than you guys are going to be. But I've given it some thought, and I do have a couple of contrary kind of arguments to make when it comes to the situation. The first one being that, I want good for everybody, because if WWE does well and CM Punk does well, the business does well, and so I want them to be happy. And clearly, I don't want anybody to fail miserably and fall on their face and whatnot. Now, I do agree with you guys that based upon what we have seen, and what's been reported about CM Punk over the last year, maybe more, he's not the kind of guy that I've enjoyed hearing about, just because there's been so much negativity surrounding the guy. But I do have a thought, and it's that I don't know about you guys, but I know that I have been in workplaces that have started off really wonderfully and everything was going really well. And then there's been a culture change and a shift. And very gradually and slowly for me over time, that workplace becomes toxic, and it changed me as a person. And it definitely made me not great to be around. And it just made me a very unhappy, miserable person. And I didn't start to feel more like myself again until I left that workplace. Now, is that the case here for CM Punk? I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. You hear conflicting reports from everybody about every company and how they're treated. Results may vary based upon the individual. But I do know that he probably could have handled things better. That's for sure. And I'm not doing this to excuse his actions. The things that he did were wrong. Absolutely. And I'm not one of these guys that have stood up for him and said that, he's just old school and this is the way it should be done. Look, the business changes and evolves. They do not handle things like that at WWE or any other major company anymore. You can't handle stuff like that anymore. Times change, bro. What's the line from Moneyball, Matthew? Evolve or get out.
Yes. Evolve or die.
Adapt or die.
Adapt or die. Yes.
That's the line. Adapt or die. And, I don't know that CM Punk has learned how to adapt, at least not when he's left to his own devices. WWE is a way different company than AEW from all accounts and reports. So. I don't know how it runs there. I've never worked there, so I don't know. But one thing I'll say is this. I think that in the past, it's been very clear that whenever Punk has had problems with WWE, he's voiced them, but he certainly didn't lash out in the same way that he did in AEW. And I think that's because he probably knows he couldn't have gotten away with it there. They wouldn't have tolerated it there. And maybe part of the problem was that they tolerated that behavior at AEW for too long. They let it get to a point where they had to say, no, you got to leave now. Now, I'm not saying that absolves CM Punk of any wrongdoing. Like I said, I don't agree with the way he handled things. But what I'm saying is that I will be interested to see if the change of environment does him any good. And I hope it does, because I would like to see him be happy. You know, when all of this happened and he finally got let go, there was a huge conversation amongst wrestling fans saying, where is he going to go next? What's he going to do? And my response was, I hope he gets help. I hope he seeks therapy, because he seemed like a very angry person. And having been somebody who's had an experience where a job and an environment had sucked the life out of me completely, I know what that feels like, and I know what it's like to come back from that. And I hope that's the case for Phil Brooks. I hope he goes to WWE, realizes, oh, it's not the same there as it is in AEW. Also, it's not the same here as it was when I left 10 years ago. The old man ain't in charge anymore. Now, he didn't particularly like the guy that took over either, but by all accounts, he seems to be a much more performer-friendly boss from all accounts. There's other things to consider too in these factors. What's his contract? Is Punk going to work a full-time schedule? My guess is no. My guess is he's probably going to work select dates, and he's going to be used sparingly, which, by the way, is the smart thing to do with CM Punk
100%.
at this point.
Yes.
Use him sparingly. And one of the big things that Punk seemed to have issue with when he was first in the WWE was that grueling schedule. The big blow up, the straw that broke the camel's back for him, if you will, was the fact that he was working hurt. And in his mind, his perspective was that nobody cared that he was working hurt. The WWE is a much different place now than it was in 2014. So my take is this. It is big news for WWE and a smart move on their part. It's a smart move on CM Punk's part too. And you can believe that he doesn't care about the business whatsoever, and he might not. But you know what? The things that he's said about, about being for the money and making a good deal sounds an awful lot like the, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash from 1996. And, those guys have still gone on to be some beloved figures, legendary figures in the wrestling business. Scott Hall famously said, right, I got enough friends. I'd really like to make some money right now. I don't know how many friends CM Punk's got left, but he seemed to be pretty happy with his hot wife and his dog for well over a decade. So I don't know. My take is this. I hope it goes well. If it doesn't, I'll be very disappointed, because fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And I really, I've been working with a therapist to try and get rid of my shame. So I don't want CM Punk to bring it back. That has been my TED Talk. Thank you very much. This is why we go over an hour.
While I very much enjoy what you just said and respect everything you just said, I think
fuck you.
While
I respect your decision and cherish you as a friend, go fuck yourself, sir.
I am probably a little bit more inclined to be a little bit more on the Matt Suckum side of things here. Matt, you said a couple things that I agree with, where it's just, to me, because maybe this comes from a place where, because I wasn't a huge CM Punk fan in the first place, so that obviously is going to conduct how I feel about him coming back now. I didn't like him 20 years ago. I didn't like him 15 years ago. I didn't like him 2 years ago. I'm not a fan now. Do I respect some of his body of work? Of course I do. Mm-hmm. Has he put on some of the best matches of the last 20 years? Of course he has. I'm not going to take that away from anybody. But Is Summer of Punk from ROH one of the most intriguing storylines from an indie company ever? Yeah. Not going to make me a fan of the guy to that level, though. So when I see him come in, I had no interest to see him come in. Now, my problem isn't the fact that they brought him in, because just like both of you stated, this is a business decision. You have to do what's right for business. And is CM Punk going to make you money? Yeah, you're goddamn right he is. Do I have a little issue of bringing a guy in that is known to be toxic and known to the fact that there's a lot of guys in that locker room that don't like him? Now, is that true? Or is it just Seth Rollins and a couple other guys? We don't know. Because as Tyler pointed out to me a couple days ago, how much of that roster was actually here 10 years ago to work with Phil? Not a whole lot. So a lot of them probably don't have a lot that they could really actually say. A lot of it is based on hearsay. So my major problem right now, I don't like the way they brought him in.
It was
I
just
get the
like,
whole surprise. I don't.
hey,
I get the
here's a
whole surprise
guy.
thing.
We'll see you on
I
Raw.
get, maybe have him do something other than come out and give a shit-eating grin to the guy that's fucking telling him to go fuck himself. That because that's all we really saw was him come out, sit down, wave at Randy Orton, give a grin to Seth Rollins because he's got that guy pissed off. That's all he really did.
But does he?
I
Does he
think that,
though?
yeah, I'm with Adam there. I think that was a work.
I absolutely think
and
he's
that-
working.
And either or though, yeah. But I just wish he either did a run in or something or fucking something. I don't know. I maybe I'm just a little butthurt because I'm a huge Randy Orton mark, and the fact that to me the return of the year got overshadowed by a fucking 5-second spot. So I'm a little maybe I'm just a little butthurt over that, and that's my major issue. My second major issue though was his less than stellar promo on Raw the following night. I have a real big fucking problem with a guy coming out less than 2 years ago, shitting on this company any chance he gets, saying things like, I left professional wrestling whatever year he left ROH. You know what I mean? So Flacco saying so he's taking shots at WWE whenever he can, and now he has the balls to come out on Raw saying I'm home. Fuck you. That is pandering at the most disgusting level. I would have respected him a little bit more if he would have came out and been like, listen, that thing he said at the very end, I'm not here to make friends, I'm here to make money. I respect that shit. You come out, you want to pull the Kevin Nash card and say, listen, I'm not with that company anymore. This company wants me. They're going to give me a whole lot of money. So I'm going to come out and wrestle for you guys because they're paying me a whole fuckload of money. You want to say that? Fine. To come out and say, I'm home after what you said, Matt, not only did you shit on WWE for fucking 10 years, you shit on wrestling for 10 years. You come out, you pull that shit and you can say, I'm home. That turned me off completely. Fuck you and your pander. I don't subscribe to this pandering bullshit. Unless your name is Mick Foley and you're looking for cheap pops in every city you're in, I have no time for this fucking for this pandering bullshit. I didn't like it when Hulk Hogan did it all those years ago, and I sure as hell don't like it when CM Punk did it. Those are my major issues. Do I think that we're gonna get some good material out of this Punk thing in the next year or so? Of course we are. That it's almost inevitable that we're gonna get some great WWE moments. We're gonna get some great matches. I could have done without or with. I'm if he didn't come back, I'm not bitching and whining. The fact that he's back, I'm not happy about it, but I know we're gonna get some good material.
On your note about him doing something at the pay-per-view other than just coming out, I feel like WWE has gone to that well a few times now where they've like teased a big return and the return is just this guy making their entrance. Like, didn't they do that when Bray Wyatt came back? after he
Yeah,
was
but
gone the
but that
first
entrance
time,
was
right?
fucking
It
that
was
entrance was
it
fucking
was,
amazing.
right?
So
But
yeah,
it wasn't it at the end of Survivor Series as well, or a different pay-per-view?
no elimination, not Extreme Rules.
Okay. But yeah,
Extreme
I think
Rules. I think Extreme Rules. Yeah.
yeah, so it's like it was very, very cool for sure. Theatrics were amazing, but then yeah,
But yeah,
I'm
same thing. You thought
same
the
kind
show
of
was
thing. It's just
over.
like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's like okay, they've done that. Like yeah, but maybe they're just at a point where they're like, we don't know what to do with this guy. We just want to sign him before he signs with someone else. So let's bring him in, see what the reaction is, and maybe once he's around the guys backstage, maybe someone will volunteer said, okay, I'll work with this guy.
If the rumors are true, those papers got signed 3 hours before that pay-per-view went on air.
Well, I'm pretty sure
Doesn't
Triple H
surprise me.
himself said it, didn't he? In the press
Did you say that?
conference.
I didn't watch the press conference, to be totally honest. I didn't end up
Well,
watching it.
I did. For the first time
Okay.
ever, I sat and I watched a WWE pay-per-view, which is kind of the press conference, which is kind of the point I want to bring up about
Oh,
the
all right.
complaint of having CM Punk just make an entrance. The fact that they put this together so quickly means they probably didn't have ideas for what
Mhm.
they were going to do for him, A, but B, why give the whole cow when you can get the milk for free? And by that I mean Punk came out and just stood there, but the entire world was talking about him, and I guarantee you ratings went up on Monday because they said, oh my god, what is CM Punk gonna say? Who's he gonna go after? Who's his first program? If you leave people asking more questions and questions that they want answered, then all you're doing is creating bigger ratings for your pay-per-view or ratings for your television show. The people who bought the pay-per-view, it's the end of the night. They've already bought it. They're not going to turn back,
No,
right? You can't get
agreed.
more numbers. So,
Agreed.
so yeah, just do what you need to do to get the effect, and then leave more meat on that bone. Just take a bite. Don't be a fat ass like me and eat the whole fucking chicken leg in one sitting. Save some of that for lunch tomorrow. Sorry, I'm hungry. That's kind of where I'm at for that. I don't think it was a terrible idea for that. And that's the other thing to think about too, is that
Like I said,
we're still so early in this experiment, this return, that we don't know what his programs are going to be, who he's going to work with. But if I may, I do want to also bring up a point regarding something that you guys had talked about, which is the relationships with other people that he works with at WWE now, the other wrestlers who may have a problem with him. Like, look, Matt, as a real sports guy, Mike, as a real sports guy, you'll understand this better than most. And maybe even from your own lives, you'll understand this. You don't gotta like everybody you work with. You can go to an office and there's that one fucking guy that just gets under your nerves and is a piece of garbage, and you say, why did I tell my boss to hire this guy a year ago?
Is this about me?
No, it would never be about you. But it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, you don't want to devalue the morale, but the question is that going to be so bad that it's going to be a distraction for other guys? Now, if the answer is yes, then there's a problem. Clearly that was the case in AEW. But for a lot of those guys, my response to that would be give him a chance.
Yeah.
And you don't have to like the guy. You just got to work with him. And maybe not even that, depending on your position on the card. So see if he makes you more money. And then, Terry Funk put it best. The more you hate each other, the better matches you have, and the more money you make, and the more money you make, the more you like each other. So who knows?
That's what I'm saying is I think that there are a lot of guys on the roster right now just seeing dollar signs here.
They should
just
be
going, okay.
Seth Rollins, I bet is.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins, because he's the only one that did the smart worker thing, which is react. He sat there and he's like, I hate this guy, because he's thinking, yep, that's right. I would like a WrestleMania payday with CM Punk. Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That dude's smart. He knows. That guy gets it. Come on.
And Seth Rollins has been such a team player and such a like he's just
that man
such a
is the business.
professional,
Yes.
right? Like
Yes.
so yeah, that's why I think when
that-
people are like, "Oh, look how Seth is acting when CM Punk comes in," I'm like, "Yeah, the key word is he's acting, guys. He's going. Let's make some money off this shit. Like, let's go here."
Now
he is 100% a company man.
that does bring me to a question for you guys, if you don't mind me asking, which is who would you like to see Punk's first program in the WWE be with? Because, and I only bring this up because obviously they had plans in place, whether or not Punk signed with the company. We saw on Monday, Cody Rhodes has started a program with Nakamura of all people, but
Right.
cool. I ain't mad at that. And we've seen McIntyre start a program with both Seth Rollins and Jey Uso, kinda, maybe, but nobody said anything about Punk. Like there's been no indication that anybody's going after him yet. And again, that makes sense because they've just signed him. So who would you guys like to see be his first program? And again, we're gonna put the caveat, Rhodes, Nakamura, all those guys we mentioned, they've got programs. They've clearly been slated for other stuff, so they are off the table. So with those names off the table, who do you want to see him go up against?
First name I would throw out there actually would be Sami Zayn.
Ooh, okay.
Just
Yeah.
because I feel like you can build this story in where Sammy can be like, talking about like, yeah, it took me 14 years of grinding my ass down in NXT while you were out there bitching about this company, and I've gotten a few sniffs or whatever, but you want to come back here and think you're the big man on campus. Well, things have changed since you were in NXT and all that stuff, right? And I don't know. There's a nice little history story that you can build in there. Plus, I think they would have a great match.
It's really funny you say that, Matt, because my idea goes very hand in hand in yours, because my idea would have been Kevin Owens.
Kevin Owens, yeah.
I would have liked to see. I'm trying to think. I already have about 4 or 5 people in my brain of who I want to see programs with CM Punk, but the question was the first program, and that's important because, for example, I'd really like to see him in a program with AJ Styles. Do I want that to be the first program he does, though? I don't think so. I don't think that's the right move. But I think Kevin Owens could really help CM Punk get back into the machine, as it were. Adam alluded to the fact that AEW is a very different company than WWE. I think not only in the way that it's run, but I think in the way of their style.
Oh,
100%,
man. Their wrestling styles are completely different.
AEW style is different than WWE, which is different than New Japan, which is different.
Mm-hmm.
All these companies have very, very unique styles to what they do. AEW, and please do not think this is a derogatory way of saying it, because it's not. But AEW leans more towards the indie style of wrestling. WWE has honed their own style over the last fucking 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So, they very much have the WWE style. Does CM Punk know the WWE style? Of course he does. He was with that company for several years. He knows that style, but he's also been out of that company for 10 years. Also, things have evolved. Different people have come in. He's got to relearn how to swim, as it were. He's got to jump in with some fucking floaties on before he can get onto that WrestleMedia podium, I think. And Kevin Owens is a man who has proven to be able to help people like that out. Kevin Owens is one of those guys that you can put him with anybody. It doesn't matter if Kevin Owens loses. It's not going to hurt Kevin Owens at all. Kevin Owens losing to a CM Punk in CM Punk's first program doesn't hurt Kevin Owens in the least. So that's my vote right there, is for Kevin Owens.
Is Owens on Raw, or is he a SmackDown guy?
He would be Raw because they're on separate programs, right? So,
right. No, that's fine. I just wanted to. I wasn't sure about that.
So he'd be SmackDown. He'd be SmackDown.
He's SmackDown. Okay.
I think so.
Would you put him on the SmackDown brand then, or would you just do something to come up with some reason for them to feud?
Well, the what they're saying right now is that their CM Punk has an open contract and he can appear on each brand.
Ah, okay. I didn't
That
catch that.
that's what was announced today. Now, whether or not that's true, who knows? That's apparently the road they're going down. He's going to do the who else does that? I think is it Brock Lesnar also has a contract like that. That's the what do you call it? The free agent contract, where they can appear on each on either brand as they choose, which I think is the right thing to do with Punk. Have him do a program on Raw, then he's gone for a few months. Then he pops up on SmackDown, does a program for a few months. Then he pops up again on SmackDown. Then he's gone. Then he's back on Raw. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
I don't either. I think actually Kevin Owens is a really great choice. I'll go a little bit of a different direction. To me, there's only two things that you could do with Punk. One is you have to either put him in there with a top heel to try and establish him as a big time babyface, or you put him in there against another top babyface that's a dream match, like in Sukram's scenario, right? And with yours. So because of that, I'm gonna go a little bit of a different direction, and I am gonna have Punk come to Randy Orton's aid and have him feud with the Judgment Day to start, because the Judgment Day are maybe the second top stable in the company, right behind the Bloodline. And having him team up with Randy also allows those two guys to kind of knock some ring rust off together. There's kind of like this weird, hey, look, we're of this generation, taking out all the young guys. Plus, he's working with a guy like a Finn Balor or a Damian Priest, who, again, are big enough heels in that brand. Dirty Dominic, for God's sake, big enough heels on that brand that, it puts Punk over as a babyface, but it certainly, doesn't lower his status because he's not taking on a smaller guy. The only other guy I could think of, if they wanted to go the route of Punk working with younger guys, would be someone like an Austin Theory or a Grayson Waller, somebody who's a very despised heel. And he kind of works it as a way to elevate guys to show that he's, here to do good for the company. But I don't like that idea as much as I do having him team up with Randy for his first program. I actually like the idea of them teaming up to take on the Judgment Day. Do they maybe turn on one another, or do they get kind of antsy with one another and eventually have a match? Sure, why not? But I think to start, something like that wouldn't be a bad idea.
Is there anyone on?
Go ahead, Matt.
Is there anyone on the roster who you're worried about now concerning their position that Punk is back?
Everybody. Because nobody's spot is safe now. Look, there's going to be people who are going to be saying Punk should be the guy to win the Royal Rumble and take Cody Rhodes' spot. Yeah. Right.
That's where I was going with this.
I did feel bad.
I should have
every one of those guys in that main event.
I should have worded it as, if you are wrestler X, who are you worried? Are you worried about Punk being back? And yeah, if you're, if you're Cody Rhodes, yeah.
I'll say of the guys,
maybe LA Knight too.
LA Knight should absolutely be worried.
Yeah.
So should Sami Zayn. Jey Uso, I think, has less to be worried about because he's not at that level yet. But they're trying to make him there. And I'll tell you what, it's just going to make his road harder to get there.
Slower. Yeah.
100%. Cody, I think, is interesting because I think he's fine. And I think, you guys, Mike, you and Tyler had a conversation not that long ago where you guys were talking about Cody as if he wasn't getting big reactions from the crowds and stuff. He was not quite at that level as a guy like a Rollins and whatnot. I personally disagree with that. I think the way they have slowly built Cody up over the last year, they are absolutely positioning him to be the guy. And especially if Punk is going to be a part-timer and used sparingly as he should be, Cody is going to be your honestly, the best way I can compare it, I think they were trying to turn Cody Rhodes into John Cena. They are trying to turn him into the guy that will be there at every show all the time. He is Hulk Hogan. He is John Cena. He is the classic white meat babyface. And they have leaned hard into it. And more importantly, Cody has leaned hard into it. And the fans have leaned in with him. They want him. Like this is one of those things where you haven't seen it in a long time, but they want Cody as their white meat babyface because guess what? He's really fucking good at it. You know what I mean? This and I think this was the problem with doing that in the past. When you try to push a guy like Roman Reigns, who is just at the eye test alone a fucking badass, he can't be a white meat babyface because the white meat babyface has always got to be in peril. Cody
Got to be
Rhodes,
the underdog.
Cody Rhodes can get sympathy for people. And I think people love him in that role. I sure love him in that role as a fan. So I think like this is just the way they've got him planned. So to make a very long story short, that's why we're already at a minute or an hour and 10 minutes. I don't think Cody has to worry so much, but a lot of those guys have got to be looking over their shoulder now.
Let me flip that on you with the Cody thing then, because you made a very interesting comment. You called him the Hulk Hogan, the John Cena. Well, if he's the Hulk Hogan, but Stone Cold Steve Austin just showed up.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it didn't work very well for Bret Hart, now did it? So you know when Bret Hart was your white meat babyface in 1997, it didn't last very long. Once the crowd decided, no, we want this badass, we want this guy who's not the white meat babyface. Maybe they that's what they wanted from Cody last week, but now your counter product just showed back up. So maybe Cody does have something to worry about.
Well, to play devil's advocate there.
You son of a bitch, that's my job.
Brett saw that though and was smart enough to realize this is the guy I have to get over. Yes. So now I have to be the bad guy. And you know, if you read his book, he was really not happy about it at first, but he understood the business, right? So
but
he went,
did he make it work?
Yes, he made it work. And I think Cody Rhodes could do that too. I think with the right story, if the people are putting over Punk, who's not your traditional babyface, Cody can easily do the sympathy thing of being like, I was supposed to be your champion. Why don't you love me? All I've ever done was try to make you love me. And then you've got your heel character.
Never happens. Cody Rhodes refuses to be heel. He won't do it anymore. Damn it. What I'll say is this.
But whose side is he on?
Whose side is he on? Here's what I'll say to this as kind of like a final thought on that is that those are excellent points. Both of you guys have excellent points. What I'm curious to see is if the crowd that is there today has that same mindset as they did in the Attitude Era, because let's not forget that by that point, the white meat babyface underdog hero was stale and old and fashioned, and everyone was sick of it, right? Whereas I would say the WWE's audience skews a lot younger than they did back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And those families, kids want a hero. And Cody Rhodes can be that hero for them. Whereas CM Punk is somebody maybe their older brother likes more, or maybe their dad. So I'm not saying that won't happen, but I'm saying that it'll be interesting to see if it does happen. I still think Cody's okay, and maybe that's just me believing in him because I like Cody Rhodes. But
I like Cody Rhodes. I do.
I think you're going to end up with Punk in more of a novelty position. At least that's what that's what I hope, because I think that's going to be the best for everybody involved.
I find it interesting. We're talking because we're sitting here talking about white meat baby faces and heels. How funny is it? I didn't have this on my bingo card. If we would have talked about this exactly a year ago, you told me that my favorite baby face of 2023 was going to be MJF. I would have laughed at you.
Yeah, me too. They've done an excellent job with him. They've done a really fantastic job with him. I don't know if he's. I feel like he's kind of an ironic white meat baby face.
But he's making it work. We talked about this on the show last week, where he came out and did the full Bret Hart gimmick. Yeah, where he got his ass kicked in the beginning of the show. They comes limping out. Bret Hart used to love that shit, right? And the 1994, 1995, 1996 crowds all ate that shit up. Well, they ate that shit up in 2023 too. And then he comes out crying in his fucking press conference. And I don't know if anybody else could have gotten that over.
But see, that's what I mean, though, is the audience.
He's a
'Cause I think-
genius, though, too.
Oh yeah, like don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to take this away from them. In fact, what I'm saying is that they're smart enough to recognize their audience are the same guys that like that stuff, like
Yeah.
the older brothers and the dads of the kids, you know what I mean? So, and that's why if you look at the demos, I think AEW's demo skews a little bit of that, more that 18 to 24 male demographic, because
Yeah.
that's what they like, and they know that's what they like, so they're doing it smart. It's all smart business. All right, I do have kind of an interesting question I'd like to pose, but we are an hour and 15 in, and I'm trying to police myself here.
But
So
listen,
I just want to ask,
I'd
should
like-
we wrap it up and
I'd
save
like-
for another time, or
I'd like to be done in the next 10 to 15 minutes.
so if we can keep it short?
I'm sure I believe in us. Go for it.
Okay, let's see if we can do this. So as you may have heard regarding CM Punk, it's been made public that he was very close to signing a deal with Impact Wrestling
Yes, I
before
read
he
that.
made his decision to go to
Yeah.
WWE. So I have a two-part question for you guys. The first being, if that had happened, how would you have felt about him going to Impact as opposed to the WWE? And two, what would you have liked to have seen him do if he did make the jump to Impact Wrestling rather than WWE? Mike, why don't we start with you?
When that first came along, Tyler and I talked about it at length off air, and my first initial thought was, I can't believe how much I'm into that idea, because I'm not a CM Punk fan. And when I first heard he might go to WWE, I said, fuck that. They shouldn't take him back. They shouldn't take him back. AEW shouldn't take him back. Nobody should take him back. Then it's like, maybe he'll go to Impact. And I said, Impact should hire him. And then Tyler said, why don't you want anybody else? Is it just because you're an Impact fan? I said, no, maybe, but no, because this is the thing. Look where he was working before, who he was working with, the environment he was working in. Very fucking toxic. I could shit on CM Punk all day long, but I'm not going to sit here and not shit on the Bucks and Hangman and anybody else who incited those problems with Punk. It takes two to tango here. Punk wasn't even close to being all of the problem in AEW. And I find in WWE, there's going to be a lot of problem makers that could, incite him over there as well. But I've talked to enough people in the last year, 2 years. I've been, as of you, Adam, I have been lucky and privileged enough to talk to a lot of people that work in the Impact locker room. I am on I have a very good relationship with their PR people. I have an idea of what it's like over there. I have a feeling that it is the least toxic locker room in professionally wrestling today.
There's a reason that guys are giving up big money contracts to either go
Right.
there or
When you
stay
have-
there.
When you have people like Will Ospreay and Zack Sabre Jr. saying, one thing I need to do before I do anything else, I do need to eventually work at Impact. I want to work in Impact. It's not only because of the amazing on-screen product. It's because of the amazing locker room and the way Scotty and Scotty's team runs that show and runs that company.
Well, not just guys that want to come in for a day, guys like Frankie Kazarian, who left easy money on the table with AEW to come to Impact. Guys like Moose and Jordan Grace, who have both gotten tons of interest from both AEW and WWE, and they have chosen to stay with Impact Wrestling and turn down those big money contracts with those big and the big time exposure for them as well. Time and time again, we see people come back to Impact Wrestling after going to some of those bigger companies because they realize the grass isn't always greener in some of those places. There's a lot that Impact has going for it that other companies don't have. They're not the biggest, they don't have the most money, but they make up for it in other places. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Those are excellent points.
So your first answer is questioned, or your first question is answered. I would have been fully on board for CM Punk signing with Impact. And they do a lot of 1 year contracts. So my idea is the fact that he'd go in for a year. All right. Your second question was, what do you want to do with him? I just run the gauntlet, man. Just bring him in, give him a year, and put him through some of the greatest wrestlers that we have on this planet because they work for Impact Wrestling. Nobody's going to sit here and tell me that CM Punk and Mike Bailey isn't fucking money. No one's going to tell me that CM Punk and Josh Alexander isn't money. And then you can do a program where him and Josh can team up and go against the Machine Guns or something like that. And then, you got then you get Alex Shelley against CM Punk, you have Chris Sabin against CM Punk, you have Frankie Kazarian against CM Punk. There's limitless options in this company. Here's the caveat. I put him over everybody I just mentioned. CM Punk goes over all those guys. Here's who he puts over. Eventually, when he's about halfway through this contract and he's just been running that gauntlet, he puts over and loses to Trey Miguel.
Oh boy, that
was my answer, Mike.
You're gonna melt my heart, man. Oh, you know me, I'm a Miguel stan all day, every day. Rascals for life.
Miguel is already a made man in Impact. A big win over CM Punk makes him a made man in professional wrestling.
Yeah, 100%. And that guy deserves it 100% for sure. Well, there's one guy on your that you didn't name there that I think honestly should be on your list. And I have a feeling that if anybody was going to bring him up, it's Matthew Sukram. So why don't we throw it over to Matt and see what your thoughts would be? Don't spoil the surprise, God damn it. Let Matt have his moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So same thought for question one for you. Of just like I said before, it's smart for WWE to hire him. It's just, again, it's not something that pushes the needle for me personally, where I'm just going to go, I have to watch this pay-per-view because CM Punk is on it, or I have to see this program because CM Punk is in it. When I heard that he was looking at signing with Impact Wrestling, I said that would be great get for them, honestly. Again, not something that's going to make me watch more Impact Wrestling, just something that I think would maybe help their brand in terms of getting more eyeballs. So yes, as a business move, great. As a personal move, could care less no matter what company Punk is in. But if he happened to end up in Impact Wrestling, absolutely, I would love to see Moose literally rip every single one of his limbs off and feed it to the hungry children in the audience, because that's what Moose does in my mind anyway. One guy,
hold on, where's Impact putting on their shows these days? Why are there so many hungry children in the audience?
Because they're doing a lot of shows in Canada, and we are bloodthirsty up here. And for some reason there's also children there. I don't know why.
That was the correct answer, Matthew.
Okay.
I mean, I don't go ahead. Yeah.
The one guy I think the one guy that you didn't mention was Jonathan Gresham. That'd be a hell of a match too, right? Like,
good lord,
Gresham and Punk, like that, because Gresham wrestles more of an AEW kind of style than anyone else. I feel like
he wrestles a Ring of Honor style.
Okay, so there you go.
And CM Punk made his name in Ring of Honor, so this makes sense. Now, to my knowledge, and the encyclopedia to my left here can correct me right or wrong. To my knowledge, Punk never fought in the Pure Division.
Well, actually,
okay, there we go.
He was in the finals of the tournament with AJ Styles, I believe, the first tournament.
Wow, I don't remember that. Okay,
so he has wrestled for the Pure title several times. But that being said, him and Gresham in a Pure match.
Him and Gresham in a Pure match is money right there.
Yeah, man. I mean, look,
you also have. I mean, there's so many names on this Impact roster that would be good opponents for Punk, right?
God,
like how fun would PCO and Punk program be? It would just be absolutely over the top.
I know,
ridiculous.
I know he's not like with Impact right now, but he comes and goes. dude, for me personally, a CM Punk Matt Cardona program would be so fucking fun.
Mhm.
So fucking fun. That would be amazing for me personally.
You want to talk about guys that come and goes? Maybe we'll finally get that Punk Kenta match. Who's the real master of the GTS?
That's
Mhm.
right.
See, that's another thing that would be cool too, is that opening up the doors for Punk to work with other companies other than Impact, because he could go and do some Japan stuff, and it'd be fun. Neat for that guy. Okay, we're right about at the 10-minute mark from when you said you've got about 10 minutes. So if there's anything else anybody else wants to say to before we go, speak now or forever hold your peace.
Steve Macklin.
Excellent.
That's
Black,
it.
Yeah.
Black Taurus. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Punk and Taurus clash.
Because I know people are gonna message the show saying like, "Hey, no one mentioned Steve Macklin."
Let's just cover our butts and say everybody in Impact versus Punk. Punk versus Impact. That's the program. God damn it.
Yeah, man. Holy shit, Punk and Bully Ray.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Oh, right?
Punk
Yeah.
made
forget-
the wrong choice here. That's what we're finding out after this hour and whatever
And
minutes has been.
listen,
Punk made
listen,
the
I
wrong
get it.
choice.
So now we're all
There was
back to
no-
square one. We hate the decision. He should have signed with Impact.
There's no way Impact could have ever paid him what he could have made anywhere else, and we know that. So CM Punk made the decision for his wallet, and that's 100% acceptable and
Yeah.
respectable. We get that. But if you're just going to judge it from a fan standpoint, and I want to see the best in-ring work possible, he went to the wrong company. 100%. Gentlemen, this has been very, very fun. We got an hour out of one subject and about 15 minutes out of the most ridiculous thing we've ever talked about on this show. So that's quite that's quite remarkable.
I'm proud to be a part of it. Like, this is gonna go in my history books of like top tier moments.
I will never forget it.
And I will try to forget it.
I'm Googling both your names after I get off this, by the way,
Oh,
to make sure
no.
it's just to make sure that it's not out there. Just saying.
Well, if it is out there, then you're making that movie wrong.
Ooh. Wait. Oh.
That's the noise you should be making if you're
Yeah.
doing it right.
Response.
Yeah.
Correct response.
I don't remember how you used to take this show home back in the day, Adam. So I just want you to take it and go with it.
I certainly will. On behalf of the WRASSLUN Show reunion, brought to you by Canada with Mike and Tyler. That's not Tyler. That's at Matthew Sukram. I'm at Adam Kota. And don't forget to listen and watch, subscribe, and repeat. You've been counted out. Matt, say cheers.
Cheers.